John, there's actually brand new research out, which is exciting, um, and you're called out in it because of the great work you're doing. Can you give me a little bit about what that research is talking about, saying, and what the latest and greatest from that is about?
You're talking about the Eric Madvis University of Oregon paper.
Correct. The Strengthening School Violence Prevention Research Report. Yep.
Um, there are actually going to be more papers, by the way, besides that one. So he's been working on that, or the U of Dub has been working on this since about, gosh, right around 19 when I retired. I started to build that relationship, and Courtney McCarthy, my replacement and successor, has continued. So the data is good. They're still trying to collect data from other districts. It can be difficult because of people's worry about being highlighted in something that implicates whether you are doing the right thing or not doing the right thing. But that particular paper um, mirrors other research on behavioral threat assessments that is preventive in design, that it doesn't target particular groups of kids. It doesn't target disenfranchised kids, and it is fairly equitable in its application. And so, specifically, this research was done on the Salem Kaiser cascade model and the protocols. Um, and one of the outcomes that was surprising, not surprising, but delighting to me, because I didn't know they were going to study this, is they had a measure of whether or not interventions were punitive or not.
Mm.
So I think it's the first uh, paper I've seen that looked at that as well. And the results are that it's not punitive. It's highly supportive of students in a way that's preventive. So it's not enabling at all. It's supportive. It's inclusive. And a lot of the outcome studies were kids that were somewhere in that pathway, and or just super aggressive, to where they were causing, more than fat lips. They were putting kids in the hospital, and potentially even lethal aggression, not necessarily targeted, but lethal. And the outcomes were really, really positive. Not just that, but that the fidelity in which the model is implemented with the training can be pretty good. And I would use that statement to connect with one of your earlier questions on accountability. I think there's one more accountability that we have as leaders, and that is to make things user friendly for
Mm.
our customers. Our customers are in threat assessment, they're parents and teachers and students. That's the easy part. We just make sure our language is simple to understand. But our other customers are counselors, school psych, social workers, administrators, SROs, people on these teams. And if the protocols are not easy and user friendly, they won't use them. And when or if, God forbid, any of us end up in a court, but they say, man, read this stuff. Who knows? I don't have a vocabulary like this. I'm not a clinician. I'm a teacher. I'm a cop, whatever that is. We have to, as leaders, make this palatable. And that's why I use the word protocol with the forms that I've written. They're not assessment tools. There's a protocol, and that protocol is like a miniature version of the manual. The manual's big, but the protocol says, do this, do it this way, ask these questions, here's why, oh, this, then go there. What I love about the web-based model is you can create those portals to do that automatically, because most districts are working off of PDF forms or Google Docs, and they don't have those kinds of auto pathways. And so that helps with accountability. When you have a system that runs smoothly and that people can understand and they're trained well enough to follow the system is the expert. And so they can kind of take that breath. Again, they don't go to their middle brain and try to figure out what's going on with all this novel information. They're familiar with the visual appearance of the form, the process of the form, and that kind of accountability is important as well. So sorry, I jumped back on that previous question
No, I,
within the one that you asked of me. But yeah, the paper is awesome. I hope you get to read it. There'll be more, I think, coming from the U of W. We have not had the benefit of a university partner um, for 20 years, and now we do, and it's pretty amazing. Now Salem Kaiser has kept data for a decade that shows all of those things that I just said. Like we've been audited, we've talked, the advocacy groups, even the AICLU, we're able to say, hey, look, here's the pie charts. No one group is getting um,
Awesome.
targeted or assessed more than others, with one exception, and that is those are students on IEPs. So students, especially with features, behavior problems, or who act their rage out, they do get referred more often. Why? It's obvious. They're saying things, right? But the way it's handled is very supportive of them. A lot, in fact, almost always, when the assessment is done, which is a fairly, like I said, easy, user friendly assessment, it shows that that student is expressively threatening, emotionally threatening, but there isn't any kind of substance or behavior, TAC related behavior, or pathway behavior behind the threat. So it helps people understand John, who has an emotional disability, threatening and raging whenever he gets challenged on his homework. That's his coping skill. Scares the heck out of the parents walking down the hallway, but we can explain that. We've done a threat assessment. Here's what we know. That's what John does. And we're not just saying that because we're biased. We've actually looked at it. We've looked at the behavior and the circumstances. We support John in the right way because he's not planning an attack on a school, but he does need to get control of his language. So the interventions are appropriate for my issue with yelling and screaming my threats, and replacing those with different kinds of reactions and coping skills. So it's very supportive. And I think you'll see that in the research as well. The papers that are coming out are looking at that kind of stuff.